Okay, I think it's, okay, perfect. Let's get stuff away.
Got it.
Yeah.
Here.
There we go.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it.
Okay, well, let's get started. I'll do my best, or we'll do our best to talk loudly, and I have the camera on, so I'll try and speak to both the audience here and everybody online. So again, thank you all for coming. I think we have a fairly exciting presentation today. We're going to be speaking to you today about the Ontario Data Catalog. It's something we're really proud of. We work every day. It sounds like a lot of other folks here work with various catalogs, so I think there's going to be a lot of common ground to go over. The purpose of the presentation today is just to go at a high level for those who don't know what a catalog is, kind of talk about it a little bit. We'll talk about why open data is good. We'll talk about some of the features and tools we have on the catalog, like how to connect via the API. We have a couple demos of various data sets that we have on the catalog, and we also have a list of really what we feel are kind of interesting data sets that are commonly used on the catalog. We're going to go through all of that, and hopefully we'll find some good material that we could potentially use in the breakout rooms later. So I know we did a land acknowledgement, but I also have one. So I will go through that before we start. So the land acknowledgement is for Toronto. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, the Sientka, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous people on this land and the contributions they have made to the history of Ontario. We also acknowledge the ongoing impact of colonialism and commit to work towards reconciliation. Okay, so I kind of already went through the agenda, so maybe I don't need to do this again. But yeah, we'll look at some usage statistics, some user research, some interesting data sets, and look at a web application demo of one of our colleagues has done. So let me get started here. The Ontario Data Catalog has been produced in some form since 2012, and we've maintained and shared thousands of data sets via the public this way. The current version, which you can see on the screen here, was launched in 2018, and it's using CCAN. So CCAN is a great open source data management system tool for powering data hubs and portals, as well as providing a centralized platform for distribution, storage, and management of data, as well as metadata. It's designed for governments and public organizations and data publishers to publish and share data in a reusable and accessible manner. CCAN provides features such as cataloging, searching, visualizations, and distribution of data, which makes it a great tool for this type of open data initiative. It's widely used by a number of other government agencies, including the UK, the European Union, the New Zealand government, as well as in Quebec. So, I know we have people from all schools of life here and all levels. So before we start, what is open data? So data is considered open if it meets these three requirements. It needs an open license, meaning that the data sets are released under an open license that permits reuse and redistribution. It has to be open access, which means that the data sets are free to download via the internet and should be easily accessible. And lastly, an open format, which essentially means that data sets are machine readable, platform independent, and vendor neutral. So creating a standardized data set. So this means that data can be used and manipulated by a number of different softwares. So it's not software specific. So I will say, while the large majority of the data sets on the catalog right now are machine readable, most of them, there are still a few of our data partners that we're working with to make sure that every data set on the catalog is 100% machine readable. So what are the benefits of open data? The Ontario government believes in the power of open data to support innovation and power research by providing businesses and entrepreneurs with the data that they need to develop new products and services. Inform the public by enabling people to access information and knowledge that can be used to improve their lives, including access to education, healthcare, and other government services. It intends to reduce administration and help improve public services by providing government agencies with the information that they need to identify and address the needs of their community, which is one of the reasons we're here today, and also to increase trust and accountability. This is in order to help citizens hold their government and private institutions accountable for their actions by providing access to this type of information. Now, of course, not all data can be made open. Data may contain personal information that is protected by privacy laws and regulations. Data may have sensitive information and could pose security risks if accessed by unauthorized individuals. Data may contain confidential information such as trade secrets, sensitive business information, and other sensitive data that's not meant to be widely shared. And there's also data that's subject to legal restrictions or regulations that prohibit its use. These are things such as protected by copyrights or subject to legal privilege. Lastly, there's data that contains commercially sensitive information that could harm a company's competitive advantage. So now we understand what data can be shared on the catalog and what can be not. I'm going to pass it to Kobikah to go over some of the usage statistics of the catalog.
Thank you, Corey, for starting us off. So here we have some high-level statistics on the data catalog. We have 22, this is from around January 2018 to now. So this is there's been 22,000 API clicks so far, 1.1 million unique file downloads. There are 933 open data sets so far on the catalog. And we've also broken down the user statistics. So 61% of our users use desktop, 34.9% of them use mobile, and about 4.1% of them use tablet. On the right-hand side, there is also referral sites. So you can see these are some of the sites that our users are first on, and then this is how they navigate to the data catalog. So we have education on the top, we have the Northwestern Health Unit as a second referral site, we have Toronto.ca, and we even have the COVID-19 science table towards the bottom, as you can see. Slide.
I'm actually surprised that Blog2Yo is so high. It's a I had no idea that they actually link to us so much.
A curious audience. So the Ontario Data Catalog has a wide variety of data sets available. There are data sets related to COVID, data sets related to well records, and more. From January 2020 to the beginning of this year, the most downloaded data set is the COVID-19 vaccine data in Ontario. So this data set has information on how many hospitalized cases there are based on vaccination rates. It has the number of vaccinated people based on their age group and a lot more information around vaccination rates in Ontario. As you can see, more than half of the most downloaded data sets are COVID-19 related, and this is because the catalog is a useful platform for users to find all related data sets in one location. There are also many individuals who also use other data sets, such as the registered marriage officiants data set and the private school contacts data set. On the right-hand side, we can also see the top 10 jurisdiction visitors that use the Ontario Data Catalog. In the past 3 years alone, there's been about 2.2 million users in Canada who use the site. We also get quite a few visitors from United States, China, India, and United Kingdom. So the catalog not only has a broad range of data sets, but also a broad range of audience.
Some of you may actually know that the catalog was used as the authoritative source for COVID data during the pandemic. So we had a large number of the media, the Toronto Star, the CBC, all the various organizations that presented COVID information on their website were actually using APIs in most cases to connect directly to the catalog and refresh that data. So a lot of the data and charts that you saw on Twitter, and it was actually a great tool for a lot of people to do their own analysis. So it was a really amazing thing in a bad time that was able to allow a lot of that data to get out consistently, reliably, and every day. And it allowed us to move quickly and improve the catalog, because that number of APIs hitting our website all the time, you know, we had to adapt quickly because it would cause the website to crash, and we had to figure that out. So yeah, I don't know if everybody knew that, but it's kind of a cool thing during a hard time.
So a small team, sorry,
I just wanted to say how much he's underselling how much the data was available to people public servants to people, to journalists, to like people across Ontario. This team worked like literally daily for years to make sure that this happened, never had a breakdown. It's really an incredible feat that this team accomplished over the pandemic. Thank you for what you all did while during that.
So a small team, which I think there might be members on the call, they conduct user research feedback yearly to collect comments and concerns to further improve the data catalog. During the last few months of 2022, the team conducted the survey to learn more about the users' end goals once they are on the site. So I have a question. By a show of hands, and I guess this audience, because I can't look at Zoom, how many of you consider yourselves to be tech savvy? Okay, and and how many of you consider yourselves to be not tech savvy? Okay, there was a bit more of an equal balance on the research survey rather than here, but from the research, they were able to have an equal balance to learn about the goals of their purpose once they are on the site. So some of the non-technical users use the data catalog to do some research. If they were curious about some data sets, they would look into that or even reference the data in their papers. Whereas the technical savvy users tended to use the catalog to help them make informed decisions and to use the data to embed in HTML snippets or using API. Okay. So this is just one way you can connect to the data catalog. So one is to connect it through API. So first you would go to the data set that you would like to use the API feature for. Once you scroll down on the page, you can click on preview. And once you again click on that, you're taken to another page. And on that page, there is a green data API button. Once you click on that, there'll be a smaller window, and there you further how you can connect, whether that's through Python, JavaScript, whatever your preferred method is. You could also connect it through URL, which is a bit more straightforward. So not all of the datasets can be accessed through the data API, and this is because not all of the datasets are machine readable. So what you could do is actually, again, follow the same steps, go to the data catalog, find the data set you're interested in, and once you click on that, you should see the URL. This is the example that we have on the screen here is Excel. So we just copied over the URL, we opened Excel, and from Excel, you can connect via web. And there on the bottom, you can see I have pasted the URL. And once you connect, you do further transformations, further manipulations, and you can present the data in any visual format that you'd like.
I think it's my favorite feature. I actually didn't know how to use it before coming to the Ontario Digital Service, to be able to create dashboards that automatically connect via API and just press refresh. To me, it was like magic when I first learned how to do this. So we're going to do a couple of quick demos. This is more for the breakout rooms, a kind of a little bit of inspiration, the different ways you can connect and work with the data. I believe Kobikah has the first demo, and I am going to pass my mouse over. I'm going to do a quick tour of the catalog first.
We'll see how well this goes. So this is the Ontario Data Catalog. So here you can see, you can search up a specific data set that you're looking for here in this box. There is also an upper box here. You can also just browse through the current existing data sets based on the categories down here. There is also a list of the most popular data sets at the moment and also the recently updated data sets. There's a little bit more information at the bottom as well, which you can navigate to. You can also click on this option here where it says data sets. So all the data sets are listed here and you can browse through it this way as well. And you can also go through it by organizations. So we have agriculture, food and rural affairs, which they have 308 data sets, which is pretty impressive. So that is one way you can do it. So for this example, I'm going to use the Service Ontario wait times. So this is a data set that we have here. So this is already searched up. Once you click on the actual data set, you should see it available at the bottom, the actual file. A lot of the files available are Excel or CSV. So once you click on the actual file, you'll see it, and this is the URL that I was talking about earlier. So you can right click and copy that link. Once you do, this is for this example, I'm using Excel, but this can be applicable to other softwares as well. You go over to data at the top, it says from web, and you would just paste the URL in the box that's supposed to pop up. I don't know if it's popping up anywhere else. There you
There it
go.
goes.
Gotta
Okay,
love
here's
Excel.
what's-
So you paste the URL here, you click OK, and another screen would pop up. And once you do click OK, you'll see it. So it kind of breaks it down a bit more, and apologies if you can't see the screen, it's a little small. But for example, here we have notes. This is just information more about the data set, which again, for this example, we don't really need. So I'm going to skip past that, and we're going to look at the privately operated offices, and we can kind of just take a quick preview, and we can see it's very much data. So instead of loading it, we can transform the data first. I recommend this option because it's easier to manipulate the data before loading it into Excel. And then another screen pops up, a lot of screens popping up, and it takes a while.
So this is for the Service Ontario wait times.
Yes. Let
We're
me,
gonna do a really quick analysis on the wait times at Service Ontario for Toronto.
I should probably go back. So it says here, so it's the estimated percentage of customers who waited less than 20 minutes at publicly and privately operated Service Ontario centers. So that's what this is. So as you can see, this one is not very well formatted. It's better to have dates on the columns, and it's not nice. So what I would first do is go up here to transform, and then I would click transpose, so that way all the dates are on this side, and transpose just means switching the columns and the rows. So that's what we did right now. And over here, another thing I would do is, we don't really like the column names to be named column. We see these are cities, so we would move these up so there are headers instead. So I will click on this one, and you will see all of these column names are going to be renamed to the actual cities, and there we go. And one other thing I would do is actually rename this as date, and then I would close and load it, but I already loaded everything, so I'm actually going to discard this at this moment. But just to show you what it looks like once you've cleaned up all the data, it should look like something like this. So all the dates are on the left-hand side, the cities are at the top, and it's just a little bit more cleaned up. With this, you can do other data visualizations. If you have any other purposes with the data, you can go ahead. This, I did put it in a quick pivot table, and this is just comparing 2021 to 2022, and we can see the total, about total 30% of this. That was the total wait time back in 2021, and now it is down to 60. So they have improved. But that is a quick snapshot of how you can connect to the data set using Excel. It is pretty straightforward, but again, it'll be a little bit more easier if you get your hands on it. And I will pass it to Corey to do a little bit more of an advanced version.
Great, thank you very much, Kobikah. So yeah, you can see there, it was really quick and easy to pull in the service wait times in Service Ontario. We can pull it up on the screen and very quickly be able to see that, you know, there's actually been a pretty measurable improvement in wait times at Service Ontario between 2021 and 2022. So the second demo I have for you today, and you know, it's something that we mentioned we've worked with quite a bit, is COVID data. So we have a lot of COVID data on the dashboard. For this demo, we're going to be using Power BI. I just wanted to show you, you know, how quick and easy it is to pull in some of this data. I actually made this dashboard in about 15 minutes earlier today, something to show. But you can very quickly pull in, and you can see here COVID deaths based upon whether they were actually COVID deaths, COVID contributed or unknown and missing. You can see a breakdown over the last year, it looks like. And you can also very quickly pull this in and see the hospitalizations. So I actually wanted to focus more a little bit on the functionality of what you could do with some of the data, because there's a lot of data here, and you can actually start to mix and match COVID data sets if you have a key that you could join them with. You can create relationships. So this very quickly I pulled in. This is a breakdown of COVID cases over the year, the last year, 2022. I quickly pulled in the fields over here and was able to create groups. This is something, similar to what we used to have on the COVID website. There are some visualization tools that I think people really enjoy. We no longer have them, unfortunately, but you could go in and very quickly take the data and make something like this yourself. So say you wanted to look at the COVID cases last year, you could see there's a really high peak at the beginning of the year. I don't know if everybody remembers that time when we were at over 15,000 cases a day. And this is when they actually changed the testing requirements. So a lot of people no longer had access to PCR testing. But you could actually come here and say you wanted to look at just the 80 plus, 80 to 90 age group. You can click on some of these built-in filters and just do really quick analysis of this data. Say I'm only interested in cases in North Bay. I could look at cases in North Bay with just female. I know there's some gender related analysis that's going on at the moment in the province. So you can do this type of analysis really, really quickly. You can even look at by postal code. The other thing I kind of wanted to show, which for those who are familiar with Excel and Power BI and the various things you could do with relational databases, is that you can join some of the different data sets on the catalog that have, for example, like case reported date. Quite a few of the data sets have that field on there. So I could take the COVID cases and then match it with some of the hospitalization data if I wanted to go in and perhaps, sorry, the computer's really slow, look at, how COVID cases related to the number of people that were in the hospital or ICU at that time. And, kind of looking at this, you can see, I don't know how small it is, but it is a lagging measure. So you can see after, when COVID cases spike, you can later see the number of hospitalizations go up. So this is something that we were keeping an eye on when we did a lot of the internal COVID reporting, which we worked on as well. So this is just a really quick example. I think I made this in 15 minutes. It's an idea for potentially the breakout rooms of how you can connect to the data with an API and build dashboards, fairly easily. We do have one more demo, but before we get into there, that's a web-based application demo that our colleague Kathy is going to join us for. Oh, there she is. Here's an example of some of the, the reporting that we've done in terms of COVID reporting with key indicators and hospitalizations and deaths. So before we get into the last demo, I just kind of want to talk about another way that you can use the data on the catalog. So if you're interested in building web applications, there's software like 11T and Gatsby, which are great examples of softwares that you can use to create static site generators and open source framework for building, fast and modern, reliable websites and applications. These tools can be utilized to build applications and content using data directly from the catalog, using those API features that we showed earlier. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't promote some of the amazing work that our colleagues are doing internally. They've developed their own Jamstack toolkit. It's a modern toolkit that's been optimized to help teams across the OPS to quickly develop front-end applications using the Ontario design system that will allow them to easily pull data from the catalog. So there's a lot of, if you're familiar, there's tools on the Ontario.ca website, like the Long-Term Care Home Finder, the Service Ontario Finder. It'll allow different groups at the OPS to build these sort of tools quicker and easier and be upheld to the Ontario.ca standards and formats. So I will pass it here to go over this demo. Did you want to come use the minutes?
Sure. Thanks. So
We save that. And once it loads, I'm happy to put the GitHub into the chat on Zoom so everybody can access it. Yeah, I think we're told 20 minutes. I hope we didn't go too much over, but yeah, thank you very much. Let us know if you have any questions.
First of all, a great round of applause. And thank you for your continued hard work, especially with the COVID